welcome to Brothers in the Kitchen. I'm here with all my brothers. We discuss some amazing topics because it seems like we don't have a voice. So that's the reason why we created this show, so we can have a voice about topics that affect us and our community and the world as we know it. That includes international, because we do talk about other people.
It's good to see you brothers again.
Yeah.
Definitely. Likewise.
Yeah. Everybody's good?
I have a question before we get started.
What's your question?
Who's we?
That would be you, and you. All of us.
So,
All of the, we meaning the brothers that are out there. I'll give you an example. Every time there's a situation going on.
I think you're trying to get you to say the names.
You mean like Kevin, Kelvin?
well, no. What I was really trying to get at is when you say that it seems that we don't have a voice. It's
yeah. That's
that
what I
we're
was
talking
saying.
about men of color.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that. Yeah,
men
so
all across the globe.
And so here's the reason why we can't. Here's one of the things that made me think about this is that usually you've seen it a lot when police brutality has always been high. But I noticed when Trayvon Martin, just to mention a couple of incidents, they would always bring the mic to the mother, to the woman, to give a statement or have her opinion about, or to say how she felt. Not often did you see a situation where they would bring the mic to a black man and say, okay, tell us what you're feeling, tell us what your thoughts are. They always leave us out of the conversation publicly in the media for the most part, or any type of representation. A lot of times you don't see men of color represented as much as you do other ethnicities and the gender. So that's the reason why we came over with Brothers in the Kitchen. Not because we eat a lot, but because I do like the kitchen. All right, y'all, so we have some good questions today. We're going to talk about good topics we're going to talk about. And we're just going to start out hot. Do you think sex is overrated, and do you think active sexual relationships is required to have a healthy relationship? And I bring that up because they always think that men are just like desensitized and we just want to get what we want to get, do what we want to do. So whatever relationship that you may be in or been in, do you think sex itself is overrated? And do you think an active sexual relationships makes a healthy relationships? Now, I'm gonna answer that first since I asked the question. Yes, I do think it's overrated in the media or in conversation. And I think it's kind of heightened to make that just be the conversation all the time. I don't think that it's definitely a requirement to have a healthy relationship. I think it's pushed out there to make it seem like it is, but I don't think it isn't. So I'll give you a good example. For one, you would not stay the same age you are now, so a lot of things will not be as fluent as it is. There will be health situations that may affect you that will make it not be as fluent and often. And then the thing about when you meet someone, you meet them and you like them for who they are at the time you met them. But there's a change as people get older, they change. So the person you met that day or that first, after a couple of years, you notice even yourself, you were not like the same person you were even last year. So things will just not weigh the same. So that being given, in my opinion, I think it could be overrated in the barbershop because we talk about it in the barbershop like this where we really hitting home runs every day and all that kind of thing. But anyway, so Lorenzo, you seem like you have
ready, set, go.
Like he just ready, set,
Ready, set,
go.
go.
Let me let him go and get that out. What's your thoughts? Do you think it's overrated or what?
I do not think it's overrated. I think that
Okay.
some people can abuse it just like anything else, like food or drug or anything else. I think some people can abuse it, but I don't think it's overrated. And yes, I think it is needed and necessary to make any relationship healthy. And that doesn't mean you talked about a lot about the age. Once you get of age, you may not be able to function properly. I believe that's where you were going with that. Sex just doesn't mean intercourse. So there's other sexual ways to please someone, but that is a huge part of it, and that is something that, to me, is needed and necessary in every relationship to make it successful.
I agree. One thing I will say is, at the end of the day, sex changes lives. I mean, and I'm gonna bring this analogy up because my point is more so. You kind of touched on it, Alvin. Is sex now is overused a lot in the media, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we know the dollar leads to it, but when I say sex is, it changes things. Look, you can look directly at certain individuals, such as Kim Kardashian and other people that became famous via sex tapes, right? Well, let me not go into specifics about the positions, but anyways,
Did you see the text?
I did see the tape, but I was trying to stay on task. Hold on, you're gonna throw me off. Other 10 times that I saw the tape, not playing. But no, again, it changes things. It changes livelihood. It changes money. It changes your gas money. I don't know about y'all, but I usually drive, but I drive to get to where I need to go to. But it changes a lot, and especially when you look at just the psyche. When you say you go down to children, say you learn about sex too early, it may factor into how you look at it as an adult. So going back to what Lorenzo said is you might overuse it. You might develop a need for it, in a sense where it's unhealthy. But to say that it's necessary for a healthy relationship, I'm going to be real open with this, and it's not just fully from my perspective, but I feel like it's not necessarily needed for all relationships to be healthy to the people that are within it. It goes back to who are the two people that are in the relationship. If two asexual people are in a relationship, then they please each other in various ways, I guess. Maybe not from physical or or other aspect.
Yeah, no.
I'm on a ledge now.
Well, you know what? You make a good point because there are different types of people that practice different types of sex that would not fall on the category of what's important to them. Asex.
If two monks was together, would that?
They lying. Okay, I'm just saying.
No. Okay. Put it together.
Kelvin, what do you think? We need to get out of this one. What you think?
What I think.
Are you lost too?
I think I'm gonna start with the end of the question.
To make it a healthy relationship.
Is sex required to make a healthy relationship? Well, in my opinion, no. Now, what my brother Lorenzo said, I think is important, and we need to kind of, as men, but also as a society, kind of be able to differentiate that intimacy is needed more so than sex.
That's good. Okay.
And there's we think a lot of stuff at sex, we equate to intimacy, and that is different. Because there are some people who just honestly can't have sex for whatever reason. And so can you still be intimate? Absolutely. And, if that person, the partner is willing to do life with you and knowing those things, I think you can still have a very, healthy relationship. Is sex overrated? What I don't necessarily know if it's overrated or not, but I will say that I think that in the Western Hemisphere, we are over-sexualized. Is really what I will say. And we have created, or the media has created sex to be a thing that is largely recreational. And when you travel outside of the United States, and you just see the differences in how, like, even when it comes to naked bodies, like if a person walked in here naked right now, you're disrupting the whole place.
That depends on who
You're disrupting the whole place. Nobody can focus. But you'll go to other countries and other cultures, and people are half naked all day, every day, and it's nothing.
Yeah. See, I knew this topic was gonna carry us over.
Sex into
So get this. Hold on. So the word overrated, to me, rating itself is a marketing tool. So when I'm thinking overrated, I'm thinking a goal that's set to be considered to be great, good, or comfortable. So I think it's overrated when it's just talked about. When you go to the barbershop, barbershop talk. If that subject comes up, everybody is like, oh yeah, like they really doing. Everybody rate themselves as 10.
I mean, that's ego though. That's back
well. Some of it is ego, and some of it is confidence and self-esteem. You know, it's
ego, and it's lack of knowledge on other levels. When you have people that want to speak about one thing and they want to speak about those things because they're not intelligent on other levels to speak about something else.
Well, you remember you said earlier in one of the shows we did previous, we talked about listening and men listening, and you said you're good at hearing what people are trying to
Absolutely.
say. So when I hear male or female talking about how much sex they're getting and how it's just great, and I'm listening and then listen to the body language and I'm watching their actions, they may be saying something else like, I'm really unhappy because I'm not where I need to be as far as performance wise, or where I might need to be in a relationship to get what I want. I'm just not happy with my mate. There's a lot of you know.
And or you keep mentioning the barbershop. When you think about that atmosphere in itself, that's an ego space. So when men go to a barbershop, they're looking to have conversations to put them, because there's all other men in that barbershop. So a lot of those things are insecurities within themselves, and they have to talk about those things because they know that they can't have a conversation with you on another level. They don't know anything about politics. They don't know anything about some of those other things to have a conversation with you. So that sex conversation, they want to continue to have that one.
Okay.
Because that's the extent of where their knowledge lies.
So
And they normally probably have been, like we all just said, have been viewed in that light all of their lives. So when you look at, you know, especially black men, we are built like no other. We're cut like no other, and we've always been sexualized on a higher level than anybody else. All the way down to the Africans that came to this country as slaves and oiled down with lard to make them shine and to make them look, you know, to make them look more essential than where they are, and as well as bodybuilders that they spray paint in order to give them color to their skin to accentuate their shape and their frame. I mean, that's a whole ego thing when you're in a barbershop having that conversation.
Well, so, and not just to pick on the barbershop, because it happens in the locker room. If you're playing sports or something like that, and brothers get to have a conversation, and if the conversation goes towards sex, it's always, to me, and and sometimes I would almost say I feel sorry for the brothers that are in an environment where sex comes up and they feel like, I gotta have this conversation because I don't want to look like the lame or something like that. So then they just come up with their whole story. I caught the biggest fish when I went fishing today, and no, you probably didn't. But I don't want to get that ego. There are people that are egotistic in there, but then there are some brothers or females that may be dealing with situations like, I have to participate in this conversation, so I won't show you the mass that I really have.
And that's called what?
Self-esteem. Self-esteem in a lot of cases. I got stuff going on at home and I just don't want to talk about it, so I'm just going to participate in this conversation like everything goes all right. I'm masking it, you know?
Well, you know, that really touches on so many different things. So regardless of whether it is the barbershop or the locker room, any area where there is a largely male dominated population of, you know, people, you're gonna have that, because men, we typically are very egotistical, you know. So when you get a group of men together, those are the conversations you're gonna have. One, because our society has definitely supported the idea that the more women you have, the more sex you have, you know, the more man you are. And so, you know, you're gonna, you know, everybody wants to be the top dog, or they want to be the alpha male. And so when you're in a group of men, there's an unspoken competition that's going on. But it takes a developed person, an evolved person, to know that you don't have to participate in that conversation.
Right.
You don't have to over-exaggerate what it is that you're doing. That doesn't make you who you are, and it does not determine your worth.
Right.
And whether you be a male or female. Like, you know, I think that one of the things that we have to start doing with our children that is vastly, vastly important is to explain to them that they're worthy without any of these other outside things.
Right.
You can run 1 million marathons, you can make $1 million, you are worthy of every great thing regardless if you ever do anything, just because you are. And I think that that's very important, because we begin to think that this society teaches us that the more we can do certain things, the more things that we have, the better person that we are, the more that we deserve, and that's just not true.
Okay. All right, so let's go to this next question. Since we're talking about sex, don't tie the two in together, but they kind of do. All right. Why do some men, not all, refuse to take personal grooming and personal care serious? Like, for example, the pedicure, dental, grooming, and at my house, I have for those men that are into making sure they want to be clean when they out of the bathroom, have wet wipes and all that kind of thing. Some men just like, I just want to be comfortable. Like I know, like I'm real funny about the bathroom. Like when I'm in the bathroom, it just has to be just right. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not comfortable, like I don't like using the bathroom with my dress clothes on. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want to be comfortable. You know, so there's so many different little things that we little things that makes us. That's your comfort. I mean, I'm comfortable. So why is it that some men refuse to take personal grooming personally? Because I've had women that I know to say, like, he needs to clean himself up. Can you talk to him? Because he got to do better. Because this, you know, so.
I'll say this to start off. Some of that is just what you're instilled in your own household. You know, if you never saw, or your father never had a conversation with you, or somebody, a male figure, about these things, then you might not know to you know, tend to them more. But the big overlying thing that I have for this is, if you as a man are still getting chosen by women and they haven't said nothing about it, then you're not going to change, brother.
Okay, is that it?
That's how I look at it. Like, at the end of the
So
day,
why do you think? Why is it if they? Why do you?
Look,
think
it's like if a woman still comes up to you and chooses you, or not, I won't say come up to you because it all varies, but if she's still choosing you and allow you to lay your stank self in the bed with her, then at the end of the day, you know, that's on him to see it as an issue that he needs to change.
Because she hadn't said anything.
I mean, like I said, for men, a lot of times, going back to the ego conversation, if this is what a woman accepts and allows, then at the end of the day, he might feel like, okay, well, she okay.
Well, see, with some grooming habits can become health issues as well. Like, for instance, toenail clipping. We talked about that the other day. And you can develop some things dealing with your feet. We're talking about not cleaning yourself well. You then talking about rashes and other things that could develop. So it's not just you just being groomed, but I mean there's a health that's associated with that as well.
Also, I mean, homophobia is within it too.
That's a question that's coming up.
That's within it too. It's like, oh well, I'm not gonna wear this type of, you know, lotion, or I ain't gonna put this on. It's like the whole time you ashy, but then you worried about the scent of it. You know what I mean? There's different things I think that play into it, and I get it. You know, the masculinity and stuff like that.
So if the lotion don't say 10W30, they just feel like,
hey man,
come on, Lorenzo, what you got?
I mean,
ashy cuts.
a lot of it does have to say what Kevin said about your upbringing. I grew up with an OCD mother who, like, she washes clothes every single day. She washes dishes every single day, still to this day, by hand. You know what I mean? She's very OCD when it comes to cleanliness.
Okay.
And her big thing was like, don't you ever put on no cologne or no deodorant without washing your tail.
I think that's a black mother's household. My
You know
mother's
what
the
I
same
mean?
way.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, and so a lot of it does have to do with upbringing and the way you want to view yourself. But I mean, let's be clear: a lot of people are just nasty.
Okay.
COVID taught us that.
I mean, people don't wash their hands when leaving out of the bathroom. You know what I
Right.
mean? And like that doesn't go far from any of the rest of that. People are nasty. And as far as, you know, the other part that you threw in there, as far as some of the health issues that it causes by you not you know, taking care of yourself properly, that's just a lack of knowledge on what, you know, what it is. Like your skin, you know, I'm a big firm believer in taking care of your skin. That's your number one line of defense to any of the stuff that's going on out here. It's the biggest organ in the body. So, like, you know, I'm big on stuff like that, but most people never even looked at their skin like that. Some people don't even invest in the proper type of skincare or lotions or anything like that. So, you know, it's just one of those things to where you know, everybody is different. It takes all of us to go around.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Okay.
Stay your nasty tail away from me.
Kelvin, what do you think, man? What do you think? Why is it? Why is it?
Well, we know that, you know, with most anything, it's about environment. You know, if that's not what you were taught, if that's not what was displayed and demonstrated to you as a child, you don't really know a lot better, and you just really repeat the things that your parents or the people that were around you did or did not do. Because again, we live where we live, and because of the experiences as, you know, slaves, there were certain things put on us to make us believe in this whole masculinity, you know, or being able to connect with your masculine or your feminine side, which every man that has ever been born on the face of this planet has a masculine and a feminine side, regardless of whether you want to admit it or not. We've labeled certain things that say that, oh, women do this and men do this. And so, you know, you have so many people who are followers. So they just do what they've been shown and what they've been told and what they've heard. And so they repeat those same things. I helped to raise one of, you know, my godson, and you know, he lived with me for 2 years. And he came in the 6th grade. In the 6th grade. And that's a challenge we had. Like, he's a tall boy. You know, I had him in sports, playing basketball, and you know, he would, you know, I washed clothes. Like, I'm one of those people. I wash clothes almost every day. And in his underwear would be stuff, like every day. And I had to explain to him, and this was a training thing, because like, I would think that I would fuss about it maybe 1 or 2 times, and then he would get it. But for like months, we had to really just get into a training that you wipe until nothing comes. I bought him the same thing. I had wipes in his bathroom just for him. Like, I was like, you're getting to a point where you're about to start dating and being around a bunch of people. And I said, and cleanliness is not something that you do for other people. I said, now it does benefit them. It's something that you do for yourself.
Exactly.
You know, I was like, regardless of whether you have a girlfriend or a girl is interested in you or not, you should be able to know whether you smell yourself or not.
Right.
You know, and so anyways, like, this is something that, you know, in his family was, you know, what people would say, from the hood.
Okay, got it.
You know, and so he did have a mother who, you know, believed that if a man spent too much time in the bathroom or, you know,
Same old stereotype.
himself, that something is wrong.
Okay.
And so, you know, I basically had to do a lot of work to get him out of that.
Okay.
And so, you know, that's just prevalent in our culture, period.
Okay. Y'all, we're going to take a quick commercial break, because this next question you all kind of touched on a little bit, but we'll be right back.
I'm about to do it again. Yeah, let's just start. You know, start. Enter a space where you can dream free and start or continue your journey. Located in a building and street full of history, I challenge. You see the vibes. No worries. With our space and your imagination, the possibilities are...
Now that we've talked about people clean themselves properly, wipe your butt. All right, anyway.
If she accepts you, she accepts you, brother. Remember that.
That is not good. Give her a little bit more courtesy now. All right, here's the next question, whomever you're with. All right. Do you think black men are more homophobic than white men? I personally think the answer is yes. For me, I believe they are. I believe that we are. Now, whatever the reasons are, I'm going to let you all touch on that. So, Lorenzo, you go first.
I mean, yes, I think, you know, again, that's our, you know, our society and how we grew up, and you know, what the to me, it's part of the damage that the black church has done to us. You know what I mean? Just, you know, I'm sure the church folks gonna come for me behind that one, but I stand behind it.
They must not have a choir.
And I mean what I say. Oh, they have a choir, and they have a choir director. But I'm just saying, like, it's one of the things that the black church has done to us. But I will say this, I think in this country we have far greater things to be focused on and to deal with other than who somebody else is sleeping with. I could care less. I could care less who you sleeping with. I could care less who you're involving yourself with. That's not a conversation that I want to have. I want to know. I don't care about anybody coming out, going out, coming in, doing whatever it is they do.
Side door, back door.
I could care less.
So,
So
I'm sorry. I want to say something about church. We'll go finish and then I'll come back to your church point.
I think we spend way too much time focusing on those type of things, and it's covering up the real issues that we're facing, and we're, you know what I mean, and the black community has far further things to be focused on than a gay black man.
So the church part, I believe, based on the time that I've been in church and raised in the church, when I was young, I never heard the pastor talking about it's Adam and Eve or Adam and it's not Adam and Steve, however they put it. I've heard
probably
now,
a reason why.
now that I've been going to church as I've gotten older, I think that the dynamics of how the black church act toward any homosexuality has derived from the white culture. And the reason why I say that is when I was younger, and I was raised in the church, I never heard that until they started, until church started evolving into more other cultures, inclusiveness, and when they started doing that whole thing with the government giving, I cannot remember that, I want to remember the term, giving money and stuff like that to the church. And then all of a sudden you start noticing the big mega preachers, because Reverend Ike didn't talk about Adam and Eve, none of the homies. You never heard him talk about that. And if some of you are old enough to know Reverend Ike, any of those big televangelists at the time, you never heard them talk about homosexuality ever at all. And you knew that Edna played piano at the church, but you knew who Edna was. I don't think it was, I don't want to blame it on the black community. I want to blame it on what they allowed to come into the black community to start identifying your friend or your neighborhoods, because we never bothered anybody in our neighborhood that even was necessarily, if we did know, it's like, okay, you playing with us, ball with us, there, whatever. It's just like, that's family, because we protected our neighborhood. I think it evolved over the time of us getting in with other cultures.
I would say this, I think you probably might, I think the joke still flew. The joke still flew, I'm sure.
No,
No?
because we were more of a, see, if you notice, black people looked out more for each other back then than they do now. So we didn't really pick on.
That's what I'm saying. Like even in your
we didn't.
Not everybody joked on each other.
No. I'm telling you, I don't even remember that. Even if you saw, and I'm just gonna use Edna, and people back home would know who Edna is. You just like, okay, that's Edna. How's your grandmama doing? Tell your mom we coming out to get some pies at our house. Mm-hmm. You didn't see Edna like that. Mm-hmm. You just like that's. I didn't grow up like that. And then so I lived in Chicago and here. I mean, in Mississippi. Still, until I noticed as I got older and the bigger churches start doing more of the inclusive type things for all different cultures. And then if you notice, like the LGBTQXYZ and the rest of those letters came out, then that's not pushed by black. That's not pushed by it doesn't seem as pushed more by the black culture as it is more for the white culture to be able to push the agenda of what they want, and then when they get it, they leave out the black people. That's my thought. So
I would say this because I'm somebody whose family is a mixed gumbo.
Okay, yeah.
Fortunately for me, that helped educate me and take me out of that place of ignorance. Mm-hmm. And when I say ignorance, it was more so like, again, we're joking on everybody. Everybody catch jokes.
Right.
See what I'm saying? But over time, I started to learn how the jokes really were affecting individuals. It's not just jokes on sexuality. It's jokes just in general. You see what I'm saying? So I take it back to that point where I was able to be more understanding and more empathetic towards my family. And I started to realize, even if I'm joking and I totally don't have any issue with anybody of this, of other sexualities, it can be taken as I am. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but with that, I would say, just to answer your question, yes, I do feel like the white race is their feelings towards homosexuality is different from black people. And I point to the mass shootings, like, you know, at the Pulse nightclub. I believe it was a couple years ago in Orlando. Then obviously, I believe in this past year, 2022, was the Colorado. Now, from what I saw, the shooters were both of
They wasn't
white. Yeah, they were white ethnicity, right?
Right.
So I look at it like this: when I think about, you know, homophobia and what comes about via it, I'm looking at worst case scenario. Who would do what to somebody else?
Exactly.
And for me, I look at it like this: I've seen more white men be more. I'll put it like this: they've been more unprovoked, unsolicited violence that has been carried out towards somebody that is of another sexuality. I've felt that energy from having been around individuals that are homophobic too. Now, the energy that I pick up from black people or people of color was never really as much of a, oh, I hate them, I can't stand them. It's a prioritizing thing. What do you prioritize? Do you really prioritize, going back to what Lorenzo was talking about, do you prioritize this individual having sex with somebody of the same sex? Do you really prioritize that over how they might feel as a person, or the business potential that you have with them, you know, partnerships, etc.? And for me, it's not something that I feel like black people prioritize as much as the white counterparts might. Okay. And then, like I said, you look at the statistics, you know, the unsolicited violence that has occurred, you know, shoot.
Kelvin, what do you think?
I think a lot of things. Well, you know, full transparency, coming from a gentleman like me, I am a same gender loving man of color. And I've experienced so many things throughout my life ever since I was a kid. And I try to relate to a lot of the things I just heard them say, but my experience is a little bit different. Now, do I think that black men are more homophobic than white men? I think I do think that, just because that's my experience. You know, that's my culture. I'm around more black men than I am Caucasian men. I think it's definitely, you know, again, it's one of the effects of slavery, the buck breaking and all of that stuff. When you do a lot of research and you go back further, you know, to ancient history, you know, you had these types of relationships and you had these types of cultures that were accepted in the African community. Right. And so it seems that it's done this little switcheroo, because in the beginning it was a lot of the, you know, Caucasians or Europeans coming over teaching Christianity that created the whole homophobic thing, which was based upon, you know, inadequate knowledge, incorrect knowledge, and information.
And control for them.
Now, coming to where we are right now, it seems like they are a little more tolerable than black men as it pertains to, you know, the same gender loving, gay, LBTG, gay, boy.
And that may be a media thing.
You know, and partially it is. My experience growing up is, you know, he kept saying about jokes. Like, in my family, there were not jokes. They're very critical people, so they just say whatever it is they're gonna say, and whatever their opinion is. Now, I'm very fortunate, I feel like, because my parents have always been extremely respectful to me.
Okay.
They may not have liked it or agreed with it, but they have been very respectful. And any friends that I've ever brought to my home or to their home, they've always been very respectful. Like, they don't call. And my mom was the type of woman that, even as a child, regardless of the whole gay or homosexual thing, you don't pick on other people.
That's right.
You don't bully. You don't. She didn't
right.
play that. Like,
Right.
you would get a whooping.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
so I never had that in me, really. I saw it in other people, and I used to fight bullies.
Right.
You know, and then of course you end up fighting because you feel like you have to defend yourself too
Right.
many times. People call you out of your name and things of that nature. And so again, that's within your own culture. So you see it as, black men are. I do think that a lot of the mass shootings and a lot of the big things that have been shown on TV is done by Caucasian men.
Yeah.
But it's done this whole switcheroo thing. But again, I feel like a lot of this stuff really has to do with your own education and learning who you are and whose you are and where you're from. Okay. And then that way you can, like, even in church, because I do agree with you, Lorenzo, that church has added to the whole homophobic thing. And, and I was listening to you about,
I know we kind of run over time, y'all.
when you grew up, now in my early church, no, they never talked about it.
Right.
At all. When I turned like 13, I started going to Church of God in Christ, and it was a little bit bigger. It was a bigger church, and people, were military people, so it's people from different backgrounds, but mostly all people of color. They talked about it quite a bit because there were several gay people in the church in leadership roles, so there would be people who would make comments, and and there would be conversations. So it's something that I've experienced from teenagehood to now in all types of churches that I've been a part of. Like, it's been an issue. Okay.
Y'all, I would like to go on, but unfortunately we're going a little bit over time. Thank you all so much. Thank you guys for your opinions. Thank you all for watching Brothers in the Kitchen. Y'all have a great day.